Not yet. It's just down.
You all good?
Give me a sec. I need to download the links.
You good first?
Yeah, I'm good.
Plan: the United States federal government should establish a national emissions trading scheme linked with the People's Republic of China. Advantage: one is Taiwan. China's ETS is failing now. Structural deficiency. China pollution. Vote 24. Chinese step up ETS to contribute to decarbonization carbon markets. Now you expand more market participants, lead to higher quality pricing, no result more attractively. EU setting emissions ceilings, express emissions allowances, and commitments hand over allowances under threat of heavy fines and trade. As needed, China's no absolute ceiling. China not even cap and trade. Allowances allocated free of charge. Allowances are therefore cheap at time 10 less than the EU. So China's to be successful must undergo major reform. China's early on success. China must add emissions caps software allocation. Expand service model. Future depend on success or failure of China's Chinese pollution is skyrocketing 6 times from the WHO standard 124. It is premature to celebrate and pollution concentration. 79 falls short. Most polluted city concentrations of 19 levels of CO2. China has rebounded in 2023. 80% of cattle. There's no indication goes. Reversing other balloons. Also major concerns. Managing fossil fuels. China coal production. Record of 4.68 billion tons of imports. Also charged to regions falling to these standards. Coal production increased growing dependency towards China's pollution control. Also jeopardizes peak emissions by 2030. Pollution destroys CCP legitimacy. Is the largest threat. Huang 20. Pollution takes a heavy toll on China's economy. Consequences of the resilience of Chinese state environmental sustainability. Is China's biggest emergency. More efforts to affect China cannot regain its greatness. People breathe polluted air. Pollution let alone constant China 80% of GDP. Pollution hamper style. They're essential to growth. Call problem reading for mass protest. CCP continues to justify its rule by gap. Between expectations and state capacity becomes wider, leading people to question the legitimacy and ability to change polluters' behavior, increase violence, and challenge the CCP undermine China's ability to model state. Commitment undermine legitimacy, haunt the state pillars, adjust the tiger. A legitimacy crisis and fragility explain why she is more attached to the importance of the environmental issue. Most innovations CCP introduced are more than authoritarian control. China's no isolated, ties and political shocks, and slow down even so with the tensions, environmental crisis, big obstacles, political instability, faltering China more dangerous environmental crisis. The Chile seals on modern China, and specifically China invades Taiwan to reclaim political legitimacy. 24. White resource unification is indispensable for achieving rejuvenation. Resolving Taiwan is a requirement for the Chinese nation. China counter past generation to generation is a clear highly substantiating a claim of China. Encounters economic societal China's teacher plan need to rebuild CCP's political legitimacy, which has been premised on economic growth as economy struggles to turn to Taiwan's attraction to rally support for CCP. China's growing pressure. Raising conflict is likely, and it's absolutely necessary for restoring legitimacy. Balloon with all 20. Chinese aggression, a result of weakness, conservative domestic stability, CCP legitimacy crucial. Drivers of bellicosity, two disasters, responses, escalating aggression, necessary to combat weakness of people criticize China must sacrifice about to defend Chinese nationalism. China step up activities targeting Taiwan agreed with national rivalry. Using history to display aggression necessary. Taiwan in particular damage. Taiwan postal legitimacy recreation core elements of CCP solve for Taiwan threats. Separate existence. CCP must resist the worthiness. Taiwan an appealing target and comprehensive analysis of Chinese top all 6 and internal leadership confirms Chang 22. Legitimacy will be crucial between 2024 and 2049. Essential piece of saying CCP argues it's righting the wrongs of the past century accumulation and propaganda. But CCP uses myth of advantage as essential part of its recovery. To territories lost, Taiwan is a prominent part. China will source the siege to Taiwan, to Japan, and Balani accumulation. Taiwan is the last hundred elements of civil war. China does not include Taiwan is not whole. See irrigated more power. No China leader has decided leadership can afford to be softened. Taiwan PRC rolled about COVID disasters make trifle one tone hollow. Impressions he cannot afford to be seen as relaxing goal of reunification. And Taiwan crisis goes nuclear. Chroning 23. And war over Taiwan and China or the U.S. consider using new China strategy for nuclear use. Has over down on NFP policy can change it. A crisis when there is nothing but CNC that prohibit first use leadership. Might use signally to stop interventions attacking Taiwan to eliminate leadership and scam it. Taiwan's facilities prevent extractive targets. China also considers having strike China use nukes against U.S. forces facilities or territories. Leadership could engage in nuclear use. The leadership can be motivated by desperately license for U.S. forces to be attacking against invasion forces. Retaliation for attacking the homeland does not hurt them. Imagine how the escalate strategies part of contemplate damage limitation given the number of nukes despite low pressure. More deadly vessels are willing target for strike force. Constitute an ideal target use would have to positive impact reducing the number of vessels to conduct a blockade. And Taiwan invasion sets up a wave of global catastrophes. Extinction at East 24. Taiwan was the nerve center of the world. CCP and ally Taiwan through forced authoritarianism technically unchecked. Many shock conclusion China's model superior to those on Cuba, access to Pacific, hold Okinawa, Guam. Ever since raids invade Ryukyu, Philippines, Korea, ASEAN, trigger recession around world. Taiwan critical link to against Elijah Shatter, price socket, surge in nativism, pressure of the PRC, so I Bureau, breed, UN, nuclear arms racing, especially spiral World War III, climate salvation, knockback for Japan, the military swing in authoritarian direction, crying nuclear med to take over India, expanding nuclear build, a military PLA, focus on retaking Delhi, Australia, will fear circle development, nuclear armaments, trade with frying countries, for pro Asian policy structure, alliance for European destruction, allow government, top leading city, famine, the international emergence of Africa in America seems to be special challenge world order, and reject inevitability, reunification stalls the PRC's prosperous, 2021. Simple answer to Taiwan, it depends on regular scenarios, inevitable and turbulent times, and don't challenge cost and benefits of more determined Beijing, well aware, Taiwan to be costly if there's no inevitability, meaning to like the factors that make it move likely government models, core elements promise to reverse 100 years of accumulation, promise to ensure economic prosperity, lifting the poverty, key conditions that contribute the PRC to force unite by cannot afford the people to wear humility may be the hands of economic growth and how sustained greater likelihood of Beijing will externalize its internal challenges and independently allowing unification to extend racist, colonial, and imperialist logics that stem from the Qing dynasty. Tang 4. Ming conception of titles of boundaries between civilized Chinese and barbarians and continued extensions that encompass 100 people of Taiwan. Qing referred to Taiwan as savages by core differences to people analyzing cultural political factors, Manchus, Mongols, Han, dependence, and a historical role of ancestors in the Qing state. Taiwan played no such role. There were never competitors. Taiwan over language, history, genealogy, all elements of construction of nations. The racist thinking was glorified after Shimonosky officials progressive thinking. Spoke of Taiwan being severed, conceived of island as part of the Chinese domain. PRC stakings came over. Renegade Taiwan cultural literacy. This claim kind of quickly erasing the history of Qing colonization of Chinese nationals. Discourse TCP nationalized idea that Taiwan is an inalienable part of territorial secure part of the geobody interest of Taiwan. It's a province supposed to be unified to lead the lasting impact of Qing expansions on Chinese state. And it's a unique manifestation of racist colonialism and simultaneously parallels, but remains independent from Western ideology. Tang 4. Legacy of Qing imperialism for modern China has been profound. PRC claims sovereignty over all territories acquired by Qing left by Taiwan. Taiwan is of particular by interest. Sovereignty remains unresolved, incorporated into many geography of Qing Empire, Qing construction, Taiwan challenges, three exceptions of non-colonized colonized. Presumption that colonizers are European, colonized non-Europeans, and tried the idea that imperialism of Western has been reinforced with scholars who tended to focus on China's experience with West while over China's imperialist to PRC's now that China was never anything but victims. Qing expansion does not fit model of European imperialism. There is a single model of imperialism. British German find no frontiers such as Taiwan, no economy, colonized and colonized, but multi-level hierarchy, each group had interest, sometimes interest, competed, sometimes intersected. Qing imperialism apt to consider complexity of ethnic interactions like European imperialism. Qing imperialism was complex and dynamic, conversion, strategic, economic, political, cultural, and ideological interest. Anti-Semitism, opinions of Taiwan group, creative parties that shaped anti-Semitism, with re-incentivization, Taiwanese self-determination, marginalization, and appropriation, supplanting Taiwanese identities with Chinese culture speakers, stigmatized local attention, and punish Chinese share history of oppression, solidarity, especially with oppression, the community resonated, protect belonging, and Taiwanese people have repeatedly rejected attempts at unification, downplaying the risk is actively violent. Lorenzo 24, fundamentals agreement between Taiwan and CCP is also is a sole legitimate government aims at ensuring Taiwan consider political domain and cornerstone of legitimacy. Signal culmination of rejuvenation would be Taiwan demands making PRC enduring lack of support for integration. Taiwanese objective unification, full data confirms persistent Taiwanese interpretation of history diverges significantly from Chinese history. Overall majority no longer identifies as Chinese. Now, solvency, effective ETS, solves pollution. 1022, ETS particularly reduces CO2, CO2, and PM ETS reduces air pollution by controlling coal consumption, increasing RD, low carbon ticket, promoting carbon trading, consider appropriate prices and realize emissions reduction, encourage tech innovation, reduce coal, promote low carbon economy. China's trade is not perfect, efficiency low. Its role must be further enhanced. Market instruments decisive and ETS promote coordination, linkage, bringing economic health and social benefits. The plan is not coercion. Recent summits prove cooperation is wanted. Mode 24, age-only works significant vitals to cooperate, small percent window for collaboration, move to implement consensus, free trade. Xi and Biden, Liu is willing to work with the U.S. accelerating interpretation, meeting international practical collaboration at multiple levels. Success is remarkable given new tariffs on Chinese imports, climate, rains, and palm, regardless lazy bed. Of groundwork for deeper operations, for guidance, for interactions, economic opportunities, vast opportunities, low carbon development, tensions possible, and imperfect or pragmatic solutions are critical. Investment purity is impossible. Burden that empowers the CCP. Figures 20, positioning language of systemic violence suggests dollars as relative to Sabio West. However, if we see combat oppression and identity spirits become to make our enemies calls for authenticity, legitimate oppressive regimes, sex, many values upon which scholars rely as multiple differences tend to be delayed. Feeding as we should generalize the caution chains to champion subaltern reproduce the Eurocentrism, extortion, something otherwise in the name of contesting coloniality, deploy no coherent program, and negative agentic treaties coloniality, whole trunk appeal of organizations and Cox City, but unlikely to aspire constructive conversation to address problems likely to do opposite individuals, so to make me happy that scholars should fulminate against West while receiving official local affairs such as the squo and intervention is a relic of the past that falls for retrenchment over imperial expansion. Yom 20, hegemony mean to private intervention, foreign policy but non-intervention, meaning reluctance to regulate international regional order, hegemonies retrenching south for lack of resources, is not administrated. Dominating region, you also continue shying away from complex intervention across cleavage may conclude U.S. has become more isolationist, Washington order missile tightening Syria, but refused to follow with punitive measures to prolong efforts. Official rhetoric has bellicose, yet not a single definition of credible official response is wrong, muted, Pompeo concluded we don't want war, and sweeping criticism of Chinese threat to Scotland's history, Brittany 21, Article 6 be out to replace CTD when narratives identify China as models that determine the idealist belief of world's multipolar utopian threats to Asia take place with complex century attentions and types of imperialism in Asian countries. China knows what to do. Rebalance relations with Japan, Taiwan, and Korea as narratives in terms of Chinese American fall to no love of new Asia, no countries of free services until understand China's one to appreciate proud legacies between Japan, China, Korea, leads to Tokyo, Beijing, Taipei, Seoul, Pyongyang, and loggerheads, and reject root cause the international order is conditionally constructed. Wilhelm 19, there be no universal order which has ontological primacy over all of this global order. There denies a group of things which human structure through political actions. The ordering of order can never be closed. The possibility of closure in spite of human desire for ontological uncertainty is a positive impetus for generating a theoretical and applied practice of global order explicitly linked to the radical contingency of being or the lack of void in any symbolic order. Order will come to terms of challenges, political decisions, responsibility, consultation which go beyond fixity, and reject maximalist frameworks are testing the aff, emphasizing theoretical purity, dispowers resistance. Mitchell 22, maximalism consider anything less than the most idealist option is betrayal of gracious refusal to engage with people who do not share our values. Maximalist arguments spread as debates around principles or as performance of solidarity with non-allies, embrace certain positions, assess alignment. Sometimes tactics help with power, and sometimes they don't take it alone. They are not adequate tools to test for alignment. They just demands they keep us small, but if you're mistaken anything less than our most ambitious aspirations for cowardice, we must assess the power we actually have at all times in every conservative we do. Don't either leave power on the table or overreach or come up empty. Sometimes this is a real need for us to build coalitions that share broad, through not identical goals to fight our opponents that requires us to sharpen our skills and debate to lead a united front and pragmatic action to stop extinction facilitates collective continuance. Levi No, sorry. Accepting extinction in the name of anti-instrumentality is unethical. Levi 21. Critique warned against all surpassing the logical and negativity using imperfection point to something undefined to come. Anti-instrumentality can motivate both Cold War spies and those keen to avoid politics together. Eco-critics insist any cultural thinking is cahoots with capitalism and colonialism. Their strange logic are that we have no choice but to accept extinction. Massive destruction will intensify the suffering of the world's poor is open-ended. It's not for those who anxious about finding the next meal or safe place to sleep. Mark Levine at safe place to sleep.
Cool. My bad. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, good?
Yeah.
I want to talk about 1AC Mode 24 says, quote, U.S.-China relationship has been marked by tension, but we are here in the common ground that China and U.S. shares. What is that common ground?
The ability to resolve climate change and specifically China's pollution. So China's facing declining economic growth, largely driven by an increase in air pollutants. They've tried to develop their own domestic.
So I guess that leads me to my next
schemes
question,
failed.
right? Like, what is in like transnational or like a scheme with China
Yeah, so
and
it would
the U.S. look like?
it would
Like, how is that
establish,
topical?
So
Like the rest
multiple
says in the
things.
United States. Why
Yeah.
do you get to gain
So
offense
we
off of
established
inputting in
an
China?
emissions trading scheme in the United States that is then subsequently linked with China. So it's not a fiat and mandate of the plan, but that rather China would trade with us because they have an incentive to do so.
What internal link
It
do you
would
have
be
to win to get access to that?
What internal link to access what?
Like why is it true that China would do those things? Like you have to win an
So
internal link to argue to get
the
like
Chen
offense off of it.
evidence-
So why is that true?
So two things. The Chen evidence indicates that it would significantly reduce CO2, SO2.
No, so
and
you're saying the
PMs.
benefits. I'm asking what is the incentive to do
Yes,
that?
China is actively trying to find a strategy for them to reduce air pollution. They know this is effective. It says, quote, China's trading is not perfect and efficiency is low. We must further enhance market instruments, which has been
So that's not a
decisive.
solvency
All of
advocate
that
for
is-
the app. So I'm confused on where you have a red piece of evidence that says that this is something that the U.S. and China would agree to.
Yeah, we think this card indicates that China would be willing to.
Maybe,
Svoboda,
okay, I'm gonna let you read the line one more time for your sake. Read it to me.
Svoboda also says that China must set an emissions cap, stop over allocation,
Wait, you
expand.
haven't, look,
which
you have,
shows
Connor,
a
you haven't read me a
future.
line that says the U.S. and China will collaborate with each other on the app.
We think that the evidence hints
Okay,
at
can
the
you
idea that they
write
would
that
be.
in the link in there?
But
Thank you,
also,
because
like,
it
we can
literally
read cards in the future, but
You can read
need to
you can read a
say
new
no
what? You
first.
can read a new internal link to
No,
solvency.
no,
and
like
a
we can
2AC?
read a 2AC card that says that China would do cooperation, but we think
Why
that
was it
would
on
be
the one
sufficient.
list?
Well, because we think we have made it sufficient. Like, it might not say
Okay,
verbatim,
you definitely
China
have
will
it.
do this, but it hints
My
at the
next
possibility.
question, AF is cap and trade. Does the AF defend any sort of renewable energy?
Renewable energy maybe
No,
is
no.
a
Maybe?
likely
What do you mean
result,
maybe?
but
No, our
The-
evidence does not say the plan spurs a shift to renewables.
No, it's not about if the okay, why? What piece of evidence have
Wait,
you read?
wait,
This?
wait,
Wait,
wait.
no, really quick. Oh, really quick. My bad. I don't mean to cut you off.
you're good.
What piece of evidence have you read that says that the U.S. would not do that post-ban?
the Chen evidence is
Read
just
me a line,
about.
please.
It says it would encourage tech innovation, reduce coal, prompt low carbon economy. Like none of those things are directly like
Wait,
one-to-one
wait, what's the first
correlation
part?
to increasing renewables.
What's the first part?
Reduces coal.
No, the first part.
That was
It says something about technology.
No, it says it would encourage tech and innovation.
So that is
but none of those
renewables.
things are
That's
contextualized to
that is the
tech.
renewables link.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no,
Daniel,
the-
ask your question. It says tech. Like what other tech would you
Yeah, I
incentivize?
guess like then even if it's not like a mandate of the plan, does the app inevitably result in that shift? Because the ETS like solvency advocate says that it increases R&D investment and low carbon technologies promotion.
The argument that the 1AC has made is that it would resolve Chinese air pollution, and that is the
It's not an answer.
All right, yeah, one off and then case.
I gotta plug in real quick.
You're good.
You could have. No, not yet.
All right, let me know when y'all do get it. Oh shit, I sent the 1AC. My bad.
Oh my god.
I don't even have that yet.
Okay. Now I actually sent.
Oh, I have the original one. I see. Not your like read. Yeah. Just to be clear.
I just got the 1AC, so.
Okay. All right. Let me know when everyone's good and then we'll start.
Yep.
All right.
I didn't get the one.
Just got it.
All right. Good. Everyone good? Cool. Justin. Jasmine. Good.
Michaela.
Oh, Michaela. Oh, my
All
bad.
good.
My bad.
Please give him some grace, Michaela. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
No
I'm
problem.
still kind of new here. I'm not gonna lie.
Please give us some
Okay.
grace. Lord help me.
All good.
All right.
Time ain't no money when you're broke. Time is all we got because the world has already ended and their fear of pending war is a self-fulfilling prophecy, market-based transitional policy to describe Western modes of climate activism that actively commits to colonial projects like Statute 24 tradition cannot be thought of that time. In 2018, the IPCC releases warming report that time by 2030 time is running on the celebration transition remains civilization scenarios of neoliberal political economy, the supremacy of the market GHG emissions requires everything to be quantified and commensurable, zero and low carbon energy different and temporality, the idea of universal timeline, natural sciences over social sciences, and marginalized indigenous knowledge is temporal. In terms of the linear logic call for reforms of the improvement ecological standards transition and gender such as innovative renewable energy technologies reports guided by dominant power extractivism invading colonial ideologies, all policies based over from core problem backwardness, informal colonial practices, colonialism and climate change questioning assist scientists and policymakers render unintelligible colonial violence and ongoing asymmetrical inequalities, ecological modernization approaches to global warming, the subversion transition, rich and green. This idea has missed the history of capitalism and its regionalized impacts on different populations and nature as lack neutrality as colonial and imperial underpinnings and not the qualitative and uneven effects of the different forces of resistance. And international relations are dominated by sexual racial the economy built on systematic colonization requires intimate investment states to in order to protect themselves. I can just 2019 effect of these economies induced into the imperial safety and standing of the colony to make the trouble the wages of the future or the affects concerned. IR should be about wages that was constituted absent the dominating order being true not true is based on making high increase effect of the sex of society economies as a form of materiality moving towards reality requires making a world otherwise the insane of black people colony aligning of others to imperial states development produce intimate investments to institute an imperial affect or black conservative on the horizon affect theory. And energy security is characterized by international relations policy implications of the one issue not neutral as research but rather otherwise forms of engagement that are designed to uphold the sovereign state that colors global world order. And I'm explaining energy supplies are crucial for survival of states' energy security. I focus on geopolitical implications, energy affect global environmental policy, but environmental questions, changing context of energy politics raises questions about the state system, which go hard in the subject of IR or crisis, social life shortages, vulnerability of energy, importing states, energy security, securing energy for the nation state, for national security, living in a fossil fuel is a little attention is paid to the question of what we secure in the survival of the sovereign IR has affected energy, the thing, protected has been the state percent inside outer, and the international is outside, other international is called the study of energy security and policy exceptions that issue them are largest security and securitization resources via the plan prevents all states from decolonization or traditional understanding that energy security fails to resolve existential tensions. -1 competition is not a sustainable market should not be the focus on energy security policy. IR struggle to grasp the complexity energy system security the energy harm on bilateral relations calls for a common energy policy increase states' willingness to give sovereignty over energy challenges traditional debate are emerging. And their attempts to lecture China about Taiwan is an attempt to wipe away all the violence the U.S. is doing in the status quo. Marquez 24 the world has witnessed Zionist colonialism, Palestine, U.S. imperialism as well use it as a force manifest as killing indigenous people, all deframing resistance, terrorism. The U.S. portrays itself as a colonial state as victim demonizing activists facilitate genocide, $3 billion investment back in Israel's revealed double standards concerning human and the HR and IR, the admin lecture China about democracy and human rights vetoes the ceasefire Palestine state. And the link turns on always case makes resolving climate injustice and cooperation impossible and only serves to hide a conflict between the U.S. and China. Only the alternatives decentering and security and the state transfers and solve 9 minutes of 14 securitization make cooperation impossible, but also a lot of impact on U.S.-China relations. Energy is becoming an issue of strategic importance. U.S. discourse represented in China as a threat through securitization repeated as speech acts. So it's impossible securitization and a clear policy consequences and discourse competition, liberal cooperation fails to explain energy commercial acquisition moves to an politics market-based due to international security crisis between superpowers. Energy security constructive union energy and national security framework cannot constrain the responses that are available to run legitimate continuing security. Energy is unlikely to be possible in cooperation, unlike the non-equal case services demonstrated by bilateral relations damage from their respective directions affecting securitization not a clear impact on policy choices. Gas represents cooperation is possible. Securitization of energy is not a necessary nor natural or inevitable. Securitization is always a political choice making zero-sum outcomes are more likely to impact energy policy and the environment. And energy is becoming important in the U.S.-China relations and an area of conflict discussion. Energy and security implications of the U.S.-China relations ontological critique of energy security to energy policy emphasize problems inherent in securitization energy showing the policy implications in constructing gas works to drive competition has a negative impact on both environments and human society. This has a clear implications for energy policy making energy would benefit but being moved out of the same sector security realm. plan. Renewable energy extraction is a form of Western imperialism that turns Africa into military battleground in the fight for energy hegemony versus China, which comes at the cost of genocide in Congo. That escalates in Turkey's case of South 23. Western influence remains prevalent in African continent. Africa is one that can becoming a battleground for the modern day great power competition. The gap between Africa and China and the United States is closing a Chinese or ruling nation. China is aware of the influence of the economic engagement crisis involving the manifold China and distributes investment differently. China overtook the United States as Africa's largest trading partner. China built the first overseas military base in Djibouti, less than 10 kilos away from the United States. Only permanent military base in Africa. Townsend emphasized that a Chinese force powers security concern. There were many reasons that China's influence should be a concern. Africa believes in China's positioning as an energy giant. China benefits from African energy production and positioning to digital in the future. China builds ties with African countries, exchanging military equipment and political support. This partnership is strategies of China invested in developing renewable energy technology. The United States now under pressure to match as the United States pursues transition access materials will become important in Africa and gives China the advantage. Africa is home to 40% of gold, 90% of platinum, 70% of cobalt used military and industrial purposes, cut the card at purposes. And now, one he sees the worst form of hegemonic economic politics that reinforces the capitalist social order responsibility given to carbon capitalism is a form of hilarious propaganda that obscures obstacles to solution, global warming, certain cases, greatest scale policy, fake bond, 21 policy reducing carbon hegemonic economic politics, renewable energy, carbon capture, hydrogen, carbon trade, carbon tax, and so on within the state capitalist social order, institution, hegemonic economic politics, propaganda, a solution, economic market mechanism that pricing, an obstacle to carbon pricing solution means a very low means not work. Only 7 of the force the result of reforestation, combining construction, timber, tourism, activity, strategy, commodity, reforestation, and fire from getting forest, that be destroyed, hegemonic economic politics as capital subversion, economic companies are all responsible for the economic question, consumer short, but be responsible, ideological divergence out of the individual, the capitalism versus the political, so it shows the carbon dioxide, and defends climate question, and the capitalist are ideologically defended. A colonial racial capitalism is imploding to existential urban crisis. One AC true security framework fails to realize its cyclical failure, guided to an unconscious national feeling, so to black and dead, that Akatanju 24, colonialism and global racial capitalism go out to racial violence, wars, police violence, structural inequities, and climate change, structural racism, gender, international order, habitat, academic, and the races of our state and imperial guided by the natural feeling, the idea of a universal condition was endorsed by the Constitution, savior, kind of security, we're talking about black bodies on now. What is security, building, central class, black, and civilized, the element is directly connected, ultimate domain, security, scopes, self decriminalization, race, sovereignty, mutually constitute higher peace, saving now, and so such a crisis understood by all is possible, also did you as a city guys, when security now always considered deserving. We are 24 climate change, 70 decline, inflation, food security, the energy crisis, geopolitical competition, creating a crisis, impacting people in the streets, Ukraine, who's in Africa, as well as military individuals, the more risks associated with usage competition, the less able to collect the security favors, over the colonial racist social contract. And there's smoke screen for white supremacy, it's war 9 white supremacists, murderers, patriots, self not generally seen for world, and they are filled with patriotic and calculated schooling, where young people are trying to say the US haven't engaged in genocidal many people will continue to die. And even the feds are watching and recruiting to maintain white supremacy. Michigan must know that the feds very Master Sergeant 24 National and Intelligence Security recruit with high school and college debaters, topic center, topic center, security cooperation, and arms sales is a key intellectual exercise for incidental analysis, U.S. high school, collegiate debate program, produce communication, to war fighters and decision makers. And this debate is not about the hypothetical consequences of the plan, but instead about the research design that when it is called on the ballot to vote on the wager that forecloses the revolutionary utopias and instead actively invest in conventional modes of higher business and colonization. Vote next to decline Michigan's wagers, save your life. Akatanju 24 wages of empirical research and supported conventional IR. The stakes of secure business capital imperial subject to focusing mostly on wages of research make with research design makes be useful. This approach to challenge materiality imperial intelligence of the aim is to challenge higher this demands everything in a dominant epistemological framework within global politics, etc. Until this mobilization of feelings, desires, the citizens and becoming the invested in capitalism, imperialism, mirages of security and inclusion, which are not usual technologies and knowledge of making governance either.
Skip that card. Go to the case.
Okay, case. Nothing says that the U.S. and China would do cooperation. Crossings was embarrassing and plan flaw. Nothing about the 1AC specifies price, which sector produce, or what social benefits they give. And given in the card, it's vague as fuck. Only hold them to the warrants. Doesn't even solve any of their offense for the war, or the internal link chains. It's horrible. That's the 1AC China evidence where the yellow ETS, low carbon technologies, carbon trading, encourage technological innovation, economic health, and social benefits. Go to the China stuff. You should project their new spin about their evidence of being for 2024. All of our cards are newer. May not say 2024, but it's signing documents for 2022, which doesn't assume the things happening in the school that thumbs that China motivates Taiwan 10 wars. 23, Taiwan de-emphasizing insignificant in light of Ukraine. China does not consider Taiwan comparable to certification as Taiwan background the lasting CCP needs Beijing has demonstrated forcing unification to Taiwan. China's one of the Taiwan war is not expensive but also easy walker. China's export triangle variety of the economy G, the power base is for opportunity to keep unification G, a quick war on the G of China, Taiwan, Ukraine cannot be compared to the military strength. Taiwan is to see the 100 islands, missile rockets, and artillery guns, artillery guns, smart bunker system, Washington cannot afford to allow Beijing a free hand Japan, and defend Taiwan contingency for Japan motivated by over Taiwan counter contingency Ukraine crisis. China's major trading partner Taiwan defense mechanism squad who's maintaining the status quo. India, Australia, rescue Taiwan. China might not be the rest of facing three big military powers together. Last seen China's a large trading partner to great independence. China will constrain. No China Taiwan war not beneficial to Xi Jinping's government war 2024. Taiwan hardly compelling for Xi's Beijing is the more superior young not guarantees this will invasion give the US and Japanese military Beijing's action increase trying to cooperation. No China Taiwan war. China China has looming domestic issues to solve. Roy 2024. China, three huge domestic problems. China's economy resilient on export success. Security glory, struggling economies are not maybe being more likely to launch a war. Economic maladies will be here to damage the Chinese public enthusiasm for Taiwan campaign. No invasion. China sees peace in making semiconductors around 23. The risk of Chinese military action against Taiwan raise will be using it. And then Speaker McCarthy is responsible for military threatening and the reaction of Pelosi as he is running energy as a peacemaker. Cut the card at peacemaker.
Jude?
Yeah.
The first question is this Agatha Angelou 19 evidence. How does the evidence come to the conclusion that there are sort of like cultural groups that inform IR?
Yeah, well, not necessarily cultural groups per se, but we think it's a question of a broader structure. We have interrogated IR because we think it is within a structure of affective economies that require us to be
the question is more so like, how did she come to the conclusion that affective economies do shape IR?
Because the history of like enslavement and colonization, which we think has shaped the subjects and questions in IR.
Where does she draw like a one-to-one causation between those two things? Like, why do you think that her descriptions of the
Well, it's
world
like our argument is that like
true?
the state is like founded upon the genocide and colonizing of indigenous
Well, I
and black
agree
people.
that
Like
true,
is
but
the historical connection.
why is that like an over-determining, model for how all states behave? Like, why does China accede to this
Because
model?
that
Why does
determines
Russia?
the way we invest ourselves within this space, and we think that via the link debate,
Okay,
if
so
you have
you
invested
just said that determines the way we invest ourselves, but why?
Yes.
Like, why does China fit under this model of like?
Well, can you be a little
enslavement
more
and
specific though? That
colonization,
sounds kind of vague. Like, what do you
No,
mean
the whole
China
the whole
fits in?
premise is like you have made an argument that IR is dominated by this racial.
Oh, like
affective
how does China
economy,
historically fit into that?
and
those
like
things?
why is this true of the global IR? Like, why does that include every country ever?
Well, our argument is that we don't have to explain the entirety of the entire world. Our argument is that the U.S. is specifically imbricated in those things, and the
Okay.
ONEC has invested into those
The-
affected
Can I also
Broadcast-
add on something that's also important too? Like,
Sure.
we don't have to win that we have to like acclaim every country ever.
Yeah.
But our secondary argument is that we still
Okay,
can
I
win
guess
under.
sure. Follow up to that. Why is this descriptive of China then?
Okay, like you want me to get to that?
Sure.
So our argument is that the way the race to sort of do things that you've projected like impacts in the 1AC, right? The reason why we've argued that these impacts like are one fabricated, but our argument is that your perception of the ways in which China and the U.S. sort of
Wait,
like clash together is
why
because
is
of
it-
the
why
U.S.'s
is it-
imperial
why is it
drive to will
fabricated?
defend. That the only reason why China is imperial in the status quo
Wait, why-
is because of U.S.
why is-
as the U.S.
Well, we
Why
think
is
it's
it
fabricated,
fabricated?
one, because it mystifies the relations between the United States and China. We think that the U.S. is obviously hypocritical, and so is the 1AC, because every single thing
Okay,
that China does
I
bad,
guess
the U.S.
I
has
have-
done it
well,
already.
also-
I have a
the-
question about this premise, this
Yeah.
Marquez evidence about the U.S. quote lecturing China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is the 1AC an action that would stop a potential Taiwan invasion? Like, why should that be denied just because the U.S. is also?
Well, our argument is that
complicit?
the U.S. incentivizes those conflicts,
Yeah.
but secondly, we think it's ignorant and unethical to affirm an act that says we should stop China when the U.S. is literally selling arms
Okay,
to
but
Israel to
why
bomb
is
Palestinians.
U.S. doing it as well a reason? Like, that seems like
No, it's
debatable.
an argument that preempts like all your stuff, like, oh, but
this
China
is-
is what? No, hold
but
on,
this
I'm
is
getting to
about
it.
the
Wait,
status quo.
wait, hold on, I'm
This
getting
is
to
not
it.
a link to the
Chi-
other.
No. It's the argument that is like, oh, but China's gonna be so much worse. The U.S. is just the same.
Okay. 10, starting.
So is this third place debate mean if you have teams in finals, you still have to fucking judge?
So I've had this conversation with a few people, and that is what a friend seems to believe, which is yes.
There's a debate for third place.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
allegedly. Well, I mean, the question is like, I have heard some teams posit that they would simply decline. But when it comes right down to it, it's real bad.
902.
I
Actually,
mean, we were
gotta
definitely, we didn't think we'd be in it, but we were like,
Yeah, right. That was our inclination too, but, I don't know. But yeah, no, like, what?
I mean, I could see one of our teams is like, well, I really want that haircut. And be better. Like, I don't know what to say.
Right.
Don't get a head-to-head because you lost.
Worst kind of head to head.
Are we still prepping again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 22.
I'm not stealing prep, I'm just titling my document.
That's sent. It's the case then that produced.
Got it.
Everyone's good?
Give me 1 second.
No,
For sure.
not yet.
Oh.
About to.
I saw it real quick.
Nice.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
Nothing to do with it. Oh. Alright, I'm good. You're good? Yeah.
Hannah, are you all good?
Taiwan crisis outweighs the cost of nuclear war due to miscalculation from both sides. It says Gulf global shockwaves that spread authoritarianism causes the economy and political arbitrariness and causes prolific extinction. There's nothing says they would cooperate. Argument is wrong. Our recent dialogue evidence on evidence of the 1AC proves that Xi and Biden are coming together to cooperate over climate change. No evidence to the contrary, which means that you default to our evidence, even if you don't think it's perfect. It would be beneficial to them, and their ETS is failing now, which is the reason why they would want to link with the U.S. So linkage makes sense. Plan flaw, no specification makes no sense because the plan text says a national submission trading system, and our evidence says that would solve. We don't need to specify how we solve in the plan text because those things are by effect. The plan solves it, increases low carbon technologies and reduces emissions in China, which prevents them from lashing out. Rejects spin about new evidence is wrong. We've read historical evidence that says that they want to reunify with Taiwan. So even if their evidence like snapshots that say they don't want to reunify now in the long term, it's inevitable. No invasion is wrong. They'll invade. Pollution outweighs. It's the key internal link. If there is too much domestic pollution, then Xi will invade to reclaim legitimacy. Their evidence cites returns which is wrong. It won't hold because Xi becomes irrational in a world where there is too much pollution and low economic growth in China. They say it's not beneficial to his government. That's wrong. People want him to reunify because of historical tensions and believe that they're superior to the Taiwanese people. Historical ambitions prove that they will invade. Domestic issues is wrong. The domestic issues are pollution, which the app solves. It's failing now, which inevitably triggers invasion, but the app reverse causally solves. That's above peacekeeping. And semiconductors is wrong. It was marked too early, but invasion is likely. It's their evidence cites a snapshot. That a trend is inevitable in the status quo. The K. Only evaluate the desirability of the plan. Links must be unique. The alt must be competitive, and judge must weigh the consequences of the plan. 1. Fairness. Debate is a game. Competition overdetermines pedagogy, and it's the only logical prerequisite to any benefit to debate. 2. Clash. Rigorous contestation improves the quality of advocacy and forces depth over broad, shallow research. It turns all solvency and all their standards. 3. Pragmatism. Weigh consequences. Jarvis. Epistemological debate backs elitism and displays contempt for those in daily struggle. What? Those efforts are pressed. How does it solve war? How does anybody speak to who? Compress policy knows who support problem solving theories. Bad is the position that advocates any who solve realities and ability confronted in what sense debate toward the bottom of technology be helpful. Extinction outweighs. Death irreversibly destroys the subject, produces mass suffering, and destroys all potential future value, which ends any chains of all solvency. Is the worst option for the greater good and for humans everywhere. Perm, do both. The alt sells the links or can't solve the status quo. Perm, the government does the plan. Their agent does the alternative. Perm, do the plan with the mindset of the K, not severance, because the plan text did not commit us to an epistemology. Frame the permutation through maximalism. Our 1AC Mitchell evidence says that evaluating the 1AC through the lens of ideological purity and perfection politics is ineffective because it precludes solutions to status quo problems. If the 1AC was a good idea situated in a bad paradigm that the alt overcomes, vote F. The markets link, it's wrong. There's no such thing as a singular overarching market logic, and assuming there is one is more neoliberal. Reamer, 23 realization, the generalization into broader opposition of market logic does not work as much as anything like singular market logic. Mass-wise market forms are one form to oppose the market and name politics habitually to the fantasy of a free space and technical calculation alternative market logic. Broad useful resistance for opposing neoliberalism is the wrong to talk about the law of the market, only temporary changing laws of specific markets. This is with neoclassical economics and theories that economics is ideological, that marketization is historical contingent, and indisputable. Market instruments have no inherent assets. Reamer 23, markets are not unitary overridden
to their liberatory market mechanism minor, technical causes and big effects to navigate empowered agency market forms by be dominant, nation reducing working with the grain canal and possibilities for a more just and emancipated world. Questions are far less accepted than principles and debates imply. Many market solutions are undesirable due to empirical details, including the availability of possible alternatives and not essential flaw in the logic of markets as such. The irresponsible to engage in some politics of market design, acknowledging that the devil is in the details and market mechanisms provided are preferable than any alternative. The Agathangelo evidence is wrong. Reject sweeping critiques of IR. There's no fixed ontological state that overdetermines state action. That's our Wilhelm evidence. Even if they do win a broader theory, then the best way to analyze Chinese behavior is neoclassical realism, which the 1AC defended. Cross-exposed, they have no explanation of why this applies to China. So the alternatives epistemology cannot explain the case. Some level of anarchic decision-making is necessary to formulate international relations, but neoclassical realism can corroborate non-Western localism. Fulham and Mybar 20. Liberalism does not international state. Anarchy and conflict can be read as colonial knowledge production, imperialism, globalism. Today's system is structured by anarchy, which means geostrategic environment is crucial drivers of state behavior. NCR suggests the international system structured by anarchy is made through unit-level variables, allows for contextualized analysis like cultural perception of party politics. NCR analysis only Western cases of great powers and democracy will contribute to post-colonial states. NCR engages in non-Western scholarship when non-Western readers not as an object, but a source of knowledge. We can open for better understanding is likely to methodologically purge. The NCR can address considered by elitist modes of knowledge production, focusing on Western experiences. The international incorporates local class projection and avoids the reproduction of Western theorizing, reverse one-way street from the West to the local. IR isn't racialized. Weaver and Busan 20. Problems and possibilities are marginalized by never-looking stochastic exercise where perspective seems the vast majority of IR is like itself by who you said much of Christian theory is not shown, but with it be done with it. But whether self-aware and anti-racist can find supposedly problematic studies in the key technologies scheme of productive means it becomes hard to use wisdom for purposes where it's actually said is when watered down for the fact that everyone is with deep versus that if you don't mention race you hide at 3 inches. No, there's a difference between not mentioning and hiding their theories intentionally minimalist, not because we haven't noticed factors, but they belong in application. We are explicit advantages of minimalist theory. Go back to the case. They're open to cooperating. 1024. China objects to taxes that unilaterally impose a cost according to the Vice Minister. For the environment, collaboration on a global market will be a better option. Okay, yeah. Go back to the The Nyman link about energy security is wrong, largely done below that one, transition inevitable, so no link uniqueness, but two, evaluate the debate between fossil fuels and renewables. Winning the latter is better, is a sufficient win condition, but energy security will not result in innovation. They have no evidence to that case. The market's evidence wrong. The U.S. advocating for a policy would stop Taiwanese invasion is not synonymous to Palestine. The U.S. is not wiping their hands clean. The app still thinks the U.S. has false, but this is one example of a necessary good. Reject 15. This is the premise of the 1AC Lorenzo evidence. Delegitimizing calls against reunification because the U.S. is bad is why reunification logic is so entrenched on a global scale. 2, cross-exposed bad. We're not saying China worse is a reason the U.S. is good. 3, the U.S. is good because it stopped Chinese invasion of Taiwan. That was emphasized above. The next Nyman evidence is wrong. No shot. Cooperation is possible. Their evidence is a decade old, while ours is from this year, and that the U.S. and China have identified climate change as a middle ground to facilitate broader cooperation, not security and energy, which is done above, but prefer issue specificity. Only we have evidence from Chinese documents about Chinese motivations. I think they read a link about China competition. That's wrong. There's no link to it. The plan is a policy aimed at cooperation with China. Even if our terminal impacts are about competition with China, those terminal impacts are based off the fact that they are racist towards Taiwan, so it's justified in this instance. No link to coercion. China wants the plan. Xi and Biden reach high-level climate agreements in recent dialogue. They both agree reducing pollution is a necessity. The extraction link gets wrong. Extraction impacts are inevitable in the scope, but the transition makes it so much better. Crane 21 transition to renewables. Reduce constant extraction that causes enormous mining for 20 years is equal to coal mining for less than 4 point generation. Mine materials are a fraction of coal. Reserves of plentiful few mining volumes misrepresented in this fossil fuel system is wholly reliant on extracting production values for transition minerals or key transition metals in 2020. We're not combusted but utilizing power for decades of zero mining. Supposition stating transitioning requires unprecedented increase in mining are false. Even if we increase fossil coal production, although we're intended to just be 3% of the world's coal production in 2020. No link. The plan only spurs renewables from China. It doesn't create an economy-wide shift. We never said we solve climate change broadly, which is what their links are about. Renewables inevitable. Seropolis 24. Renewables will rain thanks to pace of capacity on reform puts of light winds that are not going to 50% collapse of prices. Anti-nuclear movements install solar wind farm. China markets are tremendous. The EU and then USBVs in most countries renewables are cheapest and more reliable. Transition is not inevitable. They say hegemonic climate politics. Wrong. No link. We never said that a cap and trade solves all of climate change, but it specifically is able to prevent China's lash out from escalating pollution. Haven't contested app-specific studies and solvency that said the plan effectively reduces Chinese pollution. Drop to Levine evidence. Abandoning reforms like carbon pricing hurts revolutionary movements because it makes people think capitalism is unreformable. Techno fixes generate momentum for revolutionary strategies, providing a bridge. Finishing want to see Levine here. Levine 21. Politics of undoing left building social life to government and business. The collective continues the prevention of foreseeable future harm is neither top down nor superior conditions to all activity and mentality conserve the right. Techno fixes do not necessarily get in the way of the revolutionary and modest wrong choice. Whether if those are states that the motion for the demand to begin started with the right choice is even worse than making the wrong choice. Tolerance proposal. Technical knowledge reinforces human subjects and demons in equitable relations. We should not fight for carbon pricing because of the logic of capitalism. Many give up and hope a radical revolution and continent will be too late. Alternative pessimistic and action might be anything that moves the ball forward. State intervention and to actually skip that. They say racial capitalism, race colonialism, and capitalism are not causally entangled. Walk on. 23. There are many Eurocentric as if Western capitalism with the only one single homogeneous and the idea of is a scholastic concept recapitulation of capitalism from colonialism, private property, to national project and capitalism. Commit the fallacy of historical continuity, assuming trajectory was only possible. There was nothing intellectual in the association of blackness and human binders. Had the British not established negligence, pharmacy, trade, the slave trade, went out of mundo. Law of capitalism, mandated decisions, same applies to linkage of race and capitalism, Jim Crow, kids, terrorism, without the natural outcome of abolition with the contingent result of paternal struggles, outcome was not pre-organized, reconstruction could have been extended racial capitalism, various historical various relations, monolithically, and cannot see racial division, functional capitalism across all lands, and facts not so clear that have benefited from colonial predation of all times and all places, not ontological supremacy, but civil action in social space. The white supremacy link is wrong. Debate teaches people to deconstruct the state by identifying areas where they have not acted. Their card is about the NATO topic, which obviously had more impact on military recruiting than a climate topic. They say fiat bad because of the anti-land theory evidence. No link to their research design arguments. Fiat can center non-political objects through imaginative of a world outside the state. Fiat enables freedom dreaming. Fernandez et al. 24, working to create a future where all can enable and thrive beyond survival. Freedom dreaming can be demanding alternatives can help the use of their skills for sexualization. Change freedom dreaming begins with engineering social design experiments, collecting visualizing campaign victory strategies, and how to make that possible. And identifying power plays will be most compelling. These dreams are possible to actualize people in desire where actively care for, recognize, and create through political action. Without new vision, we don't know what to build, only what's an act. We end up confused and cynical. Political action can help organize and develop alternative understanding of mechanism power to sustain themselves. Or understanding is not enough. Critical conscience must be facilitated by role-playing different scenarios of all political action. They decide to see actualize one moment on the shoes of the other and feels pain that gives one potential to help foster radical hope and resistance, remain engaged, unwavering radical hope, enables restoring the well-being, having productive relation, increase collective action among communities of color, organize efforts to reinforce collective care, spiritual activism, freedom, dreaming, debate, enable the organizer to translate research into institutional impact, systemic policy change, and political activism, develop practice in relation to others, prevent burnout or seek support. The alt fails. It cannot solve the case. It's a DA because they do nothing to prevent Taiwanese evasion. It also cannot solve the links to the K. One round does not shape all of our discourse, and the fiat good stuff above proves that they cannot solve their research design offense either.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Alright.
Wait, that's a quick question.
Yeah.
First question, if we win, you don't solve warming or make warming worse, does that mean we take out the internal link to the impact?
No, the internal link is
Why?
about Chinese pollution. There could
So
be
if we win
policies
that, you
that
make
don't
Chinese
solve warming,
pollution
but
worse, does
still
that-
reduce Chinese
So
pollution.
if we win, you make Chinese pollution worse, is that a win condition? Does it turn
Yeah,
into
that
a
would
win
disprove
condition?
the
Cool, it's on
consequences
you.
of the
On
plan.
you.
Actually, no, you would need a
What?
uniqueness argument.
Sure,
So you need
okay,
Chinese
cool.
pollution
That's cool. I got
low
it.
now, plus plan makes it worse.
Okay,
Otherwise,
I guess like the China stuff, the last card you read, open and cooperation, what was the warrant?
I mean, we want to expand the card. It's like they don't like taxes because it unilaterally imposes costs on their economy, but linked carbon markets are more effective at reducing pollution because
Okay, I guess like more like on the solvency part of the page, like how does ETS like foster cooperation?
well, ETS doesn't uniquely foster cooperation. Xi and Biden have said that they are open to climate cooperation. in
Actually,
these
where's the
laws.
warrant for that?
The Mode 24 evidence from the 1AC,
Uh-huh.
it talks about how there was a high-level event on subnational.
No, like where's the line for it?
The line for what?
The warrant that says Xi and Biden will cooperate.
A significant move to implement the consensus reached by Chinese President Xi and U.S. President Joe Biden. They claim
That's
to have
it?
consensus about climate politics.
When? Where?
In last September in California.
Well, so there was a summit in California where they met to discuss climate goals. It said, in quote, "Climate remains the common ground. This event lays the groundwork for deeper cooperation."
And then it goes on to say China is willing to work with the U.S. to maintain multilateral consensus and accelerate green transformation. So even if you don't think our evidence is great, it outweighs the non-existent
Yeah, it's
evidence from
not,
the negative
but
that they don't want climate
I'm like
cooperation.
99% sure you probably cut it in the round, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Which card? The 2AC
one,
card?
Yeah, the 2AC card.
Yeah, we cut that in the round. The 1AC card, though, we cut that before.
Okay, sure, I guess.
The extraction stuff, like how does mining disincentivize extraction? What's the warrant?
Mining does not disincentivize extraction. That's not what we said.
Okay, alright, bet. The inevitable stuff, what's
We
the
said
warrant?
fossil fuels are worse for renewables.
Okay,
are
so just like comparatively worse.
Yeah, fossil fuels are worse, and expanding renewables, even if all countries were to transition, would still be only 3% of the amount of extraction that coal has on the global south.
Okay.
Fossil fuels are so much worse. It's like, it's
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I guess like cooperate or reunification, what's the warrant?
for what?
For like why they would?
Why they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
unify? China believes that Taiwan is politically their territory because when Taiwan split off from China, the CCP thought that they shouldn't have done that. So they believe it's their territory, they believe it's their people, and for historical and racist colonial ideologies,
Oh wait, hold
they
on.
want to
For
reunify.
like the NATO stuff, right? Like obviously, like the 1AC is still imbricated in those logics. So how is there like a no link?
The 1AC is not obviously imbricated in security logic. The 1AC was a policy of cooperation with a colonial entity to stop them from
So
invading.
two colonial
honors-
entities just like hanging out together.
Well, no, we stopped them from invading a
So that makes them
marginalized
not
community.
colonial. What piece of evidence? Okay, so
Wait.
just Taiwan though, but not Palestine,
What,
right?
what
Not other
about
countries.
what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
cooperation stops
This
them from being
is-
colonial?
Cooperation stops them from invading Connor's home.
Yeah, via legitimacy crisis.
10 starting now. 8:35. Go use the bathroom.
You don't want pupusas? It's Salvadorian food. No?
I might have one more.
One more?
Already.
Three.
Yeah.
Three, bro. There's vegan beans. There is no meat in pupusas. That's why.
What? I've really got headaches. Stay away from too much caffeine.
I don't know if I gave an order, but it's just a critique. I'm sending cards. There's kind of a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but there's like, it's like 40% re-highlights. Should be sent. Thank y'all for Chipotle, by the way. Let me know everybody got it.
Just got it.
Cool.
Give me 1 sec for it.
Justin, Michaela. Y'all good?
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
International relations and climate change is dominated by an affected racial sexual economy built upon slavery and colonization, reform the basis for unstable capitalist growth that makes ecocide, environmental destruction, and exogenous threat. Any link we want to the app mean that they recreate the conditions to produce more, not less greenhouse gases, which is greenhouse gases was the wind condition across sector mean that it creates extra warming in terms of case now. Considering our thesis about permacarbon means provide the hand and flow and all the cards are not contextual to our specific thesis about the way the colonial capitalism trades and creates the capacity to formulate extinction due permacarbon which causes stage for climate change, nuclear wars, and every other impact to the fungibility of black and indigenous death at the end of the evidence would mean the case turns every impact and only alternative can solve it now. That answers the weapon 23 evidence they were in the 20 but obviously you can extend Agate 24 here their policy language is crafted onto the colonial injustices. When they say the word like technological efficiency that requires the maximum amount of change with minimum amount of effort for the affirmative so we can all become rich and green. But this misses the point of capitalism in history and for such impact on different populations and different nature, like neutrality has colonial imperial underpinning that does not grapple with the qualitative and not even the effect of different forms of resistance. They say rich capitalism is wrong. The card is pathologizing as fuck. It only said rich capitalism is a bad analytic because I reconstructed ended and it could have been worse with the reach reject team for telling black people to shut up and suck it the fuck up because things we could have been in change with the anti-black blackmail and reach reject team. Now they say neoclassical realism and IRA is sweeping traditional IR cannot explain nor provide a solution to climate change or the ones the impacts are cooked. That's not between IR traditional IR can claim energy security not provide answers how to deal with these real realities brought about to really be categorized implication make a difference to say certain solution and breaking solving not make the same making people secure energy policy has implication for usable IR need to do historical go through the possibility of energy running in the challenges in the coming year. They say IR is true, they're objectively new, neutral span stands on international relation and security and the way relation to it is wrong and ignorant. You should prefer our analysis and reject what interests of Western nation and the most precise that's not between evidence. I'm not going to read the card because I probably don't have time. Now they say we don't direct con, but you do. But even if you don't, giving a Chinese IR a seat at the table and just eating dinner at the colonial household that's cutting him and across 14 the American dominated colonial same model came to place at the table in the colonial household China and reduce the capital and tendencies to exercise the right to revolution and emphasize the secret in Chinese traditional culture and work in the markets like Chinese scholarship living in it has new sources to be gathered to the university without these sources work from the goal without treating other totally distinct and seeking out new knowledge from beyond the West enrich IR reinforcing the non-Western rule outside of the object something and that never exists to help sustain the household and this discipline is not real rather than only exists in seeing life into it and they cut the card as seeing life to it. They say tradition is inevitable, obviously not true because you make it worse because you incentivize worst forms of renewables for the environment which will be below. Now go to framework, actually skip it, it'll be in the one in our by will go to the permutation now. One, they definitely not get the perm. We're two mutually exclusive strategy for a few reasons. One, we call for the rejection of the Wednesday's world to center rejection of their imperial wages which means the permanent nonsense. Do not explain how you can vote negative, affirmatively you should vote negative, but secondly, every link is decided to the permutation because they cannot just send their method away. 3, strategic assets attack, direct construction reinforces the logic to reach security that defines the U.S. as a positive hegemon while demonizing China for the same exact reason which is sort of true to raise capital. We'll come back to the card if I have time to read it, but the one they see, not evidence does work for me, which they can functionally concede all the warrants out of. They say agents decide capacity building decide the permutation is a form of capacity building that seeks to uplift race by population or can the actual change that's sustained. Hegemonic client policy to cooperation, social colonization, and assimilation like the alternative objectives. Do a method of the bill for fragile communities, the policy having the hierarchy, harming capital, during population culture, effective like climate, to capacity building, proper the hegemonic climate policies, working to the people only because it fights the imperial system, becoming climate help program organized serve to colonize local communities, affected by hegemonic climate policy, urgency not to improve the situation, work greatly effective as zero target, have been adjusted capital, no longer policy, structure capital. Go to the link debate now. One will be the hegemonic climate politics link because it turns out Wade's case, as Sen Koban, and it says the idea of expending policies through the state, such as cap trade, produce ideological propaganda that locks in climate change and says that even the best looking policies on paper may look good, but always enable market exploitation. It gives multiple warrants why the plan enables corporate exploitation, but it boils down to the idea that they try to sell nature to save it. Now, you should extend the Marquez evidence says that corporate accountability and the U.S. imperialism should be rejected on faith. They're called to say, but reject the team because we have said that the U.S. imperial is obviously a violent logic because it disavows the ways in which Palestine is being bombed right now. We read defense their arguments that said that Taiwan, China war, invasion will not happen and prove that you should prefer our evidence because any risk of link defense means that it turns the argument and prove that you should vote them down. Also, corporate accountability to find this myth that only seeks to sustain the system of failure that
exploits people across the globe, even if you buy 100% risk of impact, all their impacts inevitable. I'm going to skip the card. I'm sorry about that, but I am going to read the next one. Capital trade is circumvented, cannot solve the Kenton. And Water 20, the capital trade can lead to overproduction, polluting the maximum level of solar energy, solely to move the clear energy emission. Credit to you to keep doing for capital trade is not real sense for Virginia practices. The trade is not followed and sold at the highest bidder. The cost companies that decrease fruity, and it won't be effective globally, and the impact will spill out and it's not solved. Now, they say no market logic and it's more than liberal. Obviously not true because they dropped our analysis about how the market always tends to fly to black and indigenous death, which is not a warrant that's found in the card. They say the market can be liberatory, will not be liberatory because the arguments I read above in the card that proves it does not solve. They say a bending climate moves or climate price moving. They say a bending carbon trade is bad for movements, but obviously does not have a warrant for why the movements are true. And if we want to link it does not solve. Now, go to the China direct link. There are two arguments that turn to case one. They are anti-black. To support green energy in the transition means you have to support death in the Congo. In order to the US and China to build tech, you must kill thousands of Congolese women and children to Africa to fund it, which is unethical. And we to reject them. Also, it escalates into great power war, unstable supply chain, and geopolitical turmoil in Africa is a tipping point that was 24 million under great power competition, where the violence of military shortage, undermining military power, lithium, other mineral gain for the relevant due to new energy, new technology like high capacity battery, the US Army climate strat, and installing battery sources and generating renewable energy on the base, yet the important to make a nature ability supply chain and not secure the US other military reliant bases will hold size in the US have dependent imports to clean down in Russia, so we're promoting alliance to stop becoming on the Chinese military, the US in the face of war and exports will driving military dependently US China chocolate. It turns every impact and outweighs the extinction that's clearly one American for the party to the point. Just like the target on the mainland of preparation, you detect the preemptive striking the nuclear striking German nuclear configuration ability will hardly cause nuclear inevitability, making climate believe in nuclear down the political war between two power control dimensions like China industrial heartland and the key Alex Fargan and would add to the carbon atmosphere also to the breakdown the economy and global activity will postpone transition by the transition to a green economy. Now, it identifies something core to the structure of governance of the colonialism that is consistent with US and China. This is a concession that claims to the structure of power that's governance and second that makes it inevitable. It means that the case try or die. Every time a bad example can be matched with the US example, proving that the continuity between them is a single thread. China has social credit systems and the US also has it too. They say Xinjiang and Uyghurs to genocide to fund the US, but the US is obviously genocide in Palestine. They say the police say obviously the US and the invasion of Taiwan does not account for a Puerto Rico example. Now, I will insert the rehighlighting here. Their finding of texture to climate policy is bad because the texture is a living condition within imperial countries and why their evidence celebrates US-China cooperation for its ability to participate in carbon credits and electric vehicles, which we'll insert here next. I will insert here. Now, the next argument I'm going to insert, it says, turn to AF, it concludes that the structure of governance makes a set of colonial indigenous Taiwanese people, but indigenous Taiwanese people by Taiwan possible, proves our arguments about centralization. We will insert in green here for just in green. Now, US genocide of Uyghurs is a long time challenge, proves our argument, it proves that there is no evil other that's quarrel electum and no date. The immediate action encounter with the Western imperialist agenda, the offline focus for war intervention to humanitarian control, I reckon pride, historical warning of US targets, humiliated to the Afghanistan, paying the bomb, as the clear double standards and calling Syria on the NDA fund to the war, you regarded the Turkish Islamic movement terrorist movement against China caused the overlook the abysmal human rights record that deep conflict is funded by cut the card funded. The next link I'm going to extend the renewables link. You can extend the stream evidence from the one. It says that renewable energy transitions are bad because they create deforestation. Imagine you should lose imagine losing a Central Park worth of forest for every 22 years by time 30 destroying 5 million acres of trees. Now I'm going to read the deforestation causes global collapse external to warming. That transition 22 forests can deliver more mitigation negative diversity extinction trees. Natural resources like 8% of the plants and animal live in the forest with direct supports of 1 billion people. Forest conservation and healthy biodiversity not simply catastrophic biodiversity underpins human existence and priceless services creating oxygen to respiration and supporting human food biodiversity creatures. Native resilience also inherent value that disappearing fast at any point here. Dinosaurs will incredible in our own making critical policymakers enter action to restore willingness requires a significant action. And secondly, vague posturing of being pro-renewable leads to increased biomass innovation. That's Burger 24. The businesses struggling even with pellet exports sold overseas in the U.S. for biomass. See how difficult the U.S. may follow Europe in the past of burning will renew energy property works in burning coal and burning with longer tax credits and the heat trapping are available. Companies seek to what this is leading clean energy view the wood biomass industry has a potential benefit to them and view of seeking millions to build the large mill pelletons and cut the card at pelletons. And I'm going to have Daniel read the other card because I don't have time to do it. But you can go to the I'll insert the rehighlights here. One, U.S. is going renewable up. That's the one you see 10 evidence I inserted in green. But also the China will also go renewable up as well. That's the one you see. So with evidence I also inserted for green for just in green. They said we need uniqueness for a link. Our uniqueness is that the transition is not happening fully now, but you exert which is bad. They say reject the team. Obviously not true because our argument is that justifying Palestinian fucking death by saying that there are other people suffering now, especially we read great case defense that proves the war is not going to happen, is a form of the good global citizen where you can say shit such as you should reject the team for saying that we should not increase U.S. action. But our argument is that increasing U.S. action always acts as a reason to produce hegemony, which is bad. Now the alternative, really quickly, is to refuse the 1AC rager of the 1AC in order to produce ethical research practice that of course very debated because our argument that we should not just endorse strategies and tactics, but rather have a general refusal alternative. Justin, I know you don't not like alt not something alpha. Our argument is that nothing happened when you affirmative, not some nuclear war, not create mission trade teams to mean that we only produce best people in our research science solve because they wait their ability train invaders to be military soldiers, which is its case to self-fulfilling prophecy. Turns case, and you should vote negative to save the world.
Okay, are you good for crossing that?
Yeah.
Okay, what does the alternative do to solve renewable extraction?
What do you do to stop U.S.-China war?
Fiat. What do you do?
You
to
don't.
solve
That's not real.
Okay,
by the way.
So, okay, I agree, but the one I see
Okay,
is
we
that-
agree. Cool. There's nothing to
The
talk
one I
about.
see
Then.
is the thought project of what would happen if we did fiat the plan.
We think what
does
you
the
have
alternative
theorized
do?
would happen is bad. And we
Okay.
think we should reject it. Like, Justin, I know in
Nope.
every round you're like, I want alts that
My
like solve the
question-
case, but our argument is that voting for him doesn't do anything,
My
and you should
question
check
is
back
the
against
way
your
that the
biases.
1AC actualizes our method is through fiat. How does the
That's not.
alternative
We don't
actualize
actualize
your
a method through imagining. That's not how that
I
works.
get that the 1AC does not actually do anything. But
Yes.
What is your reason for why the alternative is able
Because
to
we
solve
think that
renewable
research
extraction?
projects outweigh your fiat arguments because it's only a question of what we
Why
learn in
does
this
rejecting
space.
the research project of renewables spill up to solving the actual practice of colonial extractivism?
Because our argument is that colonial extraction through knowledge production happens in this space. When
No,
you
but
read the 1AC, we think that rejecting that is
you
good.
didn't make arguments that debating about renewables is bad and colonial. You said the actual renewables are bad.
No,
What
we
is
said the way
alternative?
that you've postured it is bad.
No, you read evidence about the real world. You read evidence about.
Well, we didn't
war
say all,
resulting
like the
from
argument is not that
competition.
all renewable is bad. We think the way that U.S. imperialism does it is what causes
Really?
it.
So your argument isn't that U.S. all renewables are bad.
No.
Okay, what do you think?
We said
where
the
do
way
you
that
think
the
you have
1AC
evidence that
has
draws
done
a
it is
distinction
bad.
between U.S.-driven renewables and all renewables?
Because our argument is that U.S.-driven renewables are lodged in a logic of racialized colonial
I get
exploitation.
that that's your argument. What piece of evidence do you have that?
With the
makes that
Sharif 23 evidence. you read
Sharif
the
23 was that the 1NC evidence?
Yes, it was.
Okay, where does it make a claim about U.S.-driven renewable
It
expansion?
it literally says the ways in which like the renewables are being exported in the, or mined in the Congo right now creates a logic in where Central Park forests get lost with 50 million acres. The card is very clear. It also talks about why it happens in the Congo.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't say that.
What?
That's fine. I want to move on.
Okay, you want?
I want to
you
ask
want?
about
We can stick
international
around on that
relations
because
and
I will
something at the
read you
top.
lines from this evidence. if you want
What
to do it.
if we don't use neoclassical realism to explain Chinese actions? What model of international relations should we use?
One that rejects all forms of imperialism.
What is that?
What do you mean with it? I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't know what that is, but our argument is that if we want to link to the app that says that you have invested
Is
in
there
foreign
like a
in process
model?
of,
Is there a
do you want to
model
let me
of
finish?
international
Do you want to let me
relations
finish?
that you'll defend?
Do you want to let me finish?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, re-ask your question 'cause I forgot.
Is there a
Please tell me.
model of international relations that you'll defend?
We said that we would defend rejecting colonial forms of
Okay,
research.
rejecting is not positive. I get that you disagree with our
Yeah, we don't
model.
have to be positive. We're the negative, bro.
Yes, obviously, but what is the
What?
alternative?
The alternative is to reject you. Justin, I know you don't like it, but in this round, we'll win the tech. When the app is bad, you're
Okay,
going to vote
okay.
on it.
So why are we wrong about our model of international relations? I
The
get
entire 2NC was reason for why
I
wrong.
get
The only
that.
point
Explain it.
I can re-give the 2NC for.
I don't want you to re-give the 2NC. I want you to explain why our model is wrong.
Okay,
You get
we
evidence
made
about why
arguments
your
about how you're
explanation-
engaged. Okay, we're going to do this again. Ask me the question.
You read evidence about why your vision of the world is right. Why is ours wrong?
Because we've made arguments about how the U.S. is structured and the world is structured on slavery and colonization. We think that reinvesting in those logics or you incentivize those things is what causes serial policy failure.
Okay.
This is getting like circular. I need to read one more part at the top.
Alright. Yeah, I'll send it out right now. It's just going to be a framework for the K and then case.
Framework like at the top of the K or just below the 2NC?
Framework, top of the K.
So it'll be like reading two cards in the critique first, I reading the doc, and then it'll be
They're in the 2NC doc?
yeah, they're interesting.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah, then you're.
Yeah, I'm just sending out 2 cards right now for the one.
You can do that.
Do y'all have the stamp?
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Right there. On follow G.
I'm good.
Yeah, just read these two first.
Alright, I sent it out. Let me know when y'all got it. Well, I guess I'll start on the critique because Curtis wants me to read a couple cards.
So the K proper, then framework, and then the case?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that? No. Now I am.
So read this card and the card under it. These two.
Everyone has the 1 and R, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just do it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold it like this. So.
Hold on, give me a second. I'm trying to find my doc. I don't know what it is. Give me a sec, my bad. My word's acting up. I just need to find my doc. Okay. Alright, there, I'm good. Okay.
Are you all good?
On the critique, wood bioenergy pushes us past the tipping point, so won't be able to stop warming. Sermon et al. 22. Wood bioenergy increases carbon, accelerating global warming, even temporarily elevated levels cause a reversible climate change, excessive carbon per wood, weakens warming immediately. Ice sheets melt faster, sea level rises, wildfires more likely, urban thaws, storms intensify more than if the wood had ever burned. Warming from wood increases the chance of it going beyond tipping points that could lead to runaway climate change. And the consequences are devastating. Sea levels rise, exposing millions, yields across wood failed, droughts, wildfires, and intense storms more frequent and extreme. Warming would push the earth beyond tipping points to lead to irreversible harm. And 4. Wood biomass is worse than fossil fuels. Robinson 23. Researchers provided the most detailed studies linking emissions to specific wood pellets in the U.S. All exported responsible for over 10 million tons of emissions that will be higher in 2030 if conversations go ahead of cutting trees down, releases carbon otherwise locked up in forests, increase carbon in the atmosphere for centuries. Even when wood replaces coal, oil, and natural gas, scientists wrote urging them to stop burning trees to make energy. Wood harvesting for energy will raise emissions 30% over fossil fuel equivalent firewood, more than double emissions burning. Wood biomass is worse than fossil fuels. Climate smarter forestry is above protecting forests will ways best to protect biodiversity and enhance carbon recovery. Go to framework now. Our interpretation is that the negative leads to the representation research rhetoric discourse of the 1EC's research or project. That means the app gets away. Their epistemological representations must justify and defend the 1EC before they get access to the impacts that we win. The 1EC is epistemologically built upon or is the logic of genocide and enslavement reject the team. And one of the affirmative does not get any forms of fiat. Multiple reasons why their model is bad at framing issues that all turn case a feedback loop disad. The model of debate and fiat only produces debates about capital trade and carbon taxes that are circular dialogue that have been in debate for every single climate topic for decades. That straight turns all of their policy and fiat good arguments because their model of debate for is a feedback loop that prevents actual solutions to warming. That turns case B, ballot proximity to ballot. It can only act as a tool to evaluate whether our political imaginations are valuable, not if the 1EC gets actualized and we get our circumvention arguments. If the 1EC is not included, a pedagogical shift from the status quo's political imaginations that causes a serial policy failure because the people in power will still have underlying anti-black and colonial assumptions that make IR inevitably bad. And see now real world debates about fiat or worse for policy debate and prevent a clash of more fair debates that don't deal with the epistemological consequences of policies like Kamala and Biden, who are always scrutinized for their rhetoric, omitting rhetoric and representations is bad because it makes more scholars and policymakers and DR interpretation is prerequisite to fiat. Otherwise, their research and rhetoric will cause the underlying epistemic assumptions that make warming inevitable. Debates over should, not would, or worse because political imaginations determine the should part of every resolution. That means we get circumvention arguments that was above and reject the team for new 2AC framework interpretation that says debate and ideological terrain of antagonism that always has the ground to dispose of black and brown critical argumentation that causes psychological violence and burnout that creates infinitely regressive feedback loops. I'll read it on the app and the neg and then don't read it at all. I'll go to the fiat stuff, fiat good arguments all line by line, and here one Michigan doesn't go outside of the round or do any form of radical world building, which is what their evidence is about, which means they are ideologically inconsistent with their model because they prove that they link back to their own evidence because they make hegemonic colonial dreams, not actual radical dreams. And 2, Michigan does not go up to Xi and Biden after the round to implement the plan. All of their offense and why the ballot is bad proves that voting app signifies nothing under their model, which is a double turn with their fiat good evidence. They said purity politics won, and they are purity politics because they always focus on the level of materiality instead of the epistemological consequences that determine pragmatic decisions. I was above, and they said representation activities they gave no warrant. Yes, we do. Either way, we spend way more time here than in school, family, and friends, and the 3 of them saying no subject formations is a paradox because they need to be ideologically aligned with those arguments and make those arguments in the first place, which means the 1EC and all their arguments are an example of that. They said competition no, a competition overcodes everything, no warrant, and our competition is good. Every net benefit on framework, every net benefit I'm going to do in a few and framework proves why our model and the competition under our model is uniquely good, but every reason why competition is bad writ large is indicative of their model. Prefer our model debate radical skills, debate centering, competing practices, and pedagogies are good to promote critical thinking, like they've love to create LBS and better Moses opening up immigration firms, which is key as a radical testing. Their model trades off their top-down politics, allow for counterinsurgents and fairness, not real ideological bias paradigms, politics, all the fairness and fairness proves that they're just self-serving, arbitrary, and infinitely regressive, and B, systemic justification is this at the models of fairness, reinsurance, the status quo, of unfairness, just out 15 people, skip the just out evidence clash. German climate politics exists at the model of class A1 is a call responsible warming that ideologically partisans the market with the lives of the most marginalized that severs our relations to nature and locks in emissions. There be dogmatism, their model under limits and creates dogmatism around 2 policies. I was above 5 predictability, PR predictability, this at them, and determining what isn't and isn't predictable is arbitrary and self-serving that weaponizes norms in this space to exclude black and brown critical argumentation would make solutions to warming impossible. It leaves black and brown people in the back burner, which turns case. Go to the case now. the ETS stuff, you cannot vote on inherency alone. Just because Xi and Biden want to do cooperation now, it does not mean that you should win on this debate because the internal link is needing to solve illusion, because uniqueness does not matter if we win that the app makes illusion worse or can't solve it, and then that means that they can't access any of their impacts. Their ETS solvency advocate is horrible. You shouldn't be willing to vote on any of their new arguments. Reject new 1 hours of evidence on solvency. If it's not specific to China, then you should strike it off your flow because it justifies app conditionality where they can sever out of their specific internal link chains and evidence that generic evidence will only prove that they can't solve the internal link chains presented in the 1AC. Nothing about their solvency solves all of it. They said renewables are inevitable. No, nothing happens after this round. The choice to refuse proves they aren't inevitable. That was about the China stuff. I'll do it now. Any risk of the defense proves they are fear-mongering and just empty signifiers to justify genocide. China will invade 10 warrants. 10 warrants. Most of them go conceded. That's all 23 evidence. One, it costs wars. Will now have it because it costs too much, and war would delegitimize the CCP, which means they wouldn't do it. And 2, Markets, their economy is drying up and prevents them from mobilizing their constructions. 3, unification. G is weak now, but that doesn't mean that war will cause because its political stock is low. 4, defense. Taiwan can survive because they have defensive capabilities. None of their evidence assumes that Taiwan can defend themselves. 5 times. G wants to win quick and cheap, which is impossible. China won't for the reasons above, which demotivates G. Their evidence does not assume any motive besides political stock. R says that it's low now, which sums all of their uniqueness to try or die. Argument 6, U.S. intervention. The U.S. will prevent Xi and Beijing from doing war, which checks back. Their evidence does not say the U.S. can't check back on war, which means the status quo solves. 7, Japan. They are motivated to defend Taiwan to gain an alliance that solves it, and because Japan checks China. 8, trade. China will strike because they need trade with Ukraine, which is allied heavily with the U.S. right now. None of them upsetting them would collapse. Their economy needs no war. Quad and a coup stumps, because India and Australia will defend them, and China won't risk it because they couldn't handle it. Xi does not incentivize because of semiconductors. That was above. No invasion summons talks and solve and Chinese domestic issues. Who 1218 by the G summons some probability of Chinese invasion resumption military contact law for management accidents expresses unessentially accurate G measured over peaceful unification and denied plans to invade apply Biden pledge to adhere to the one China policy.
8:15, is that right?
I got 8:22. What y'all have left for bread? What y'all?
8:35. I'm pretty sure.
So you going to a bunch of tournaments, or?
I haven't been to any yet, because the ones that have helped with the logistics for have been on the West Coast, but I'm hoping to make a trip there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, working remote, staying in Boston.
Have you judged remote or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
You have been judging remote?
Yeah.
LD mostly, or?
Oh yeah, LD mostly. But it's nice to be back here.
Nice.
Yep.
So is it like a model where somebody wouldn't have a coach and then they'd like reach out to your group and they'll be like, we'll get you a coach, and then is that coach like consistently the same, or is it like rotate?
So it's rotating because they're also taking like weekly classes and electives. So it's like if you're in the advanced LD lab, it's like every Saturday you're taking the class, and then there are electives throughout the week like that you can take, or like supplemental sessions, and then you get access to all the instructors related to that. It's kind of like paying for a team. And then also a lot of the students are like grades 5 through 8.
Okay, and what do they compete?
They compete locally in California, so it's a lot of traditional LDs too. But I've been trying to like teach them a lot of policy style stuff, circuit LD stuff, K stuff, and it's like so interesting to tell you like that because the director of the company is very anti-circuit. He hates Reddit, he hates technical stuff, but he likes me, so it's almost like I'm able to still be like, hey, let's talk about like caves, let's talk about extinction, you know, and the students are like, yeah.
Are there any tournaments that seems like in some of the there's been a little bit of a backlash to the private coaching?
100%. Because in LD in particular, there was the circuit version of the company I worked for was called debate drills, and that became super controversial just because.
It's called debate drills.
Debate drills, yeah. Like it really accentuated the whole like pay-to-play aspect.
The Bergen Debate Club.
Oh no, it's
No, that's the one that our people run.
Oh. I wasn't sure. That's interesting. Bergen Debate Club. And then
this is our debater that runs this group, and they're apparently really big in terms of.
I debated against Sam, and I knew Tom was one of my lab leaders when I was like a freshman in high school.
Yeah, so this is her. She runs it.
Oh wow.
She basically is like.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think there are a couple coaches not listed here. But yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's 100% like
Is
the
that
New
like-
Jersey version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's definitely interesting because like when I worked for Lexington High School's LD team like a while ago, and debate drills originally like offered me a position, the Lexington coach was like, "Here's my ultimatum: you either work for me or you work for them, because I am so philosophically opposed to debate drills." So I chose Lexington, and I told debate drills, "Sorry, but."
Just Cheryl.
Yeah. Yeah, Cheryl Kazmarek, the Kaz is so cool.
Kaz used to judge me in high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
She and Ed Williams, who's right out front with the trip right now. And Ed was kind of one of our unofficial coaches because my partner and I frequently got on the plane by ourselves, no adults. Or just took a taxi we try to hitch a ride from the hotel to the tournament, it was just like, but yeah, we went to a bunch of tournaments with that coach.
That's awesome.
And then like we started doing well, and they're like, my parents were like, we should probably get a coach for you. Because our high school coach was like, you can get on the plane by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'll sign you off on missing school, but you gotta fund it yourself.
Yeah, that was like at my high school too, because we had a forensics program with a speech coach, but he didn't know one thing about debate. So he was like, yeah, like you make me look good when you travel, and it's like the principal of the school, as far as he's concerned, you're part of the same forensics program. So you get your own coach, travel, whatever.
234.
Yeah, that was that Texas local debating national circuit for you.
I sent like 4 cards on the deal. I sent 4 cards and answer.
It just these 4 cards.
Yeah, just those 4.
Okay.
The order is just the case and the K. Anyone ready?
Give me 1 second.
Is framework at the top of the flow for you, okay?
Huh?
Is framework at the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be like the 1 in R first, and then
Okay.
then the rest of the K. Okay.
1
Everyone
second.
good?
Taiwan invasion outweighs guarantees global nuke war because it draws in every relevant actor, clubs, supply chains, ensures honesty, choice alliances, ensures totalitarianism. Now we have carded ETS, works evidence they have none. It's better than no cards, and their turns cases about broad structuralism, which is flat out wrong. You need to draw 1-to-1 correlation between settler colonialism and their theory of IR and inevitably causing all of our impacts, which they do not have evidence that is good enough on that. Yes, Taiwan war. None of their defense speaks to political legitimacy, as the sole internal legal evidence that it is absolutely necessary for Z to do it, which they do not have defense to. Cost is secondary to Z control markets, economy driving up is our uniqueness because he's collapsing slow growth now, driven by pollution. Z week now proves that he needs to invade, they would try or die even if there's not perfect capabilities, which answers that warrant. RF does assume motive legitimacy will only get worse. RF says that no legitimacy when people are breathing polluted air, so the app is try or die. Trade is not a check when G thinks that he's losing control of the regime because he's a self-interested actor. Other allies in the region are not relevant because he doesn't care about their decision-making. Some characters are secondary evidence is comparative as he acts solely out of his own interest, and the status quo fucks him now. The K proper. The framework evaluate the plan, necessarily the plan. The conceded links must be unique in the all-competitive one. Fairness, the model is an egg weaponize any word, individual, or action attached to the one you see that skews reasonableness. The next favors fairness outweighs its logical prerequisite to any argument and debate, and they're just dependent on it. Otherwise, vote AF will do the all. To agree with the neg, include a fair procedure was necessary. Second class, the resolution only requires the app to play with the hand is a good idea. Anything beyond it is unpredictable and focuses the debate onto an area the app is not prepared for, undermining conversation and turning their critical skills. Argument 3, pragmatism. Feeling use is extreme purity politics, raises opportunity costs. Advocates outside debate must choose between imperfect options. They teach epistemic purity, which like organizing. They turn to subjectivity options, and any hope about solvency. Prefer it. Vickers is specific to resisting coloniality. This is it's actively counterproductive because it lets the CCP get away with whatever they want, which is far, far worse. Now, the counterprediction is absolutely limitless. Reps and discourse could be anything, justifies word picks because those constitute when you see epistemological problems, which is net worse than when you see is not logic. Genocide requires winning their links, which proves that consequences and evaluation of the case matter. No feedback loops CA. There have no defense of why pricing mechanisms would fail inevitably, so it's good to necessarily discuss those things. We'll read the cards later, but we have specific instances of Taiwan invasion preventions, which is true. There's no straight turn answered above. Now, ballot proximity, we only solve fairness. In this round, the refusal to do nothing is a reason you should reject them because they leave the status quo as is while they've criticized it because it genuinely legitimizes resistance in the United States. There's no serial policy failure. Durable fiat means that the U.S. does the plan, and even if policymakers are anti-black, that's inevitable for their argument. Only risk that the plan is good and solves a short-term scenario, not real world. We don't only talk about discourse because the real world discusses the material effects, and what we do say, or what the effects of those necessarily matter because of the consequences. Otherwise, we are trapped in academia, ceding the political, not a prerequisite to fiat. No explanation and defended above. We should not would is good because debate demands things be utopian. Otherwise, it would have happened already, which is the premise of why contestation is necessary. Do not reject the team for the psychological violence stuff. We do not cause burnout or that because our model includes yours as long as you tailor links to the plan. So our interpretation is additive, not exclusive. Critiquing the broad system of IR just does not meet that burden. Now, you do not know what we do out of round, so there's assertion should be given, should be struck off the faux fiat illusory, obviously, but it's useful to evaluate cost-benefit analysis. Materiality matters more impacted above. Reps are rejected because debate is one part of our life, and regardless, suicide debate, technical sessions, etc. means that no one internalizes the arguments. Fairness is the paradox because they want fair evaluation explained above. Competition is the app, argument, radical skills, etc. turned by our clash offense. Model does not trade off. Fairness is not self-serving given they rely on our two, which the 2NC has no defense to, does not reach into status quo. Our clash is better. Internal link is predictability. Being able to debate about these things, the totality of the model makes it unpredictable because epistemic consequences can be anything, does not include the case, so it does include the case, so it just forces nuance, so it does not leave black people behind. Now, the impact proper at the top. This is impact turned by Wilhelm, dropped in the block. No fixed ontological state. If there is, it's about neoclassical realism, which their critiques do not rise to the threshold of. Now, racial cap is not pathologizing. We apologize. Strike the card that solves our offense. And we never said that black people should shut up, which is an argument that was never made by the 2AC. Now, the next argument, wrong. We are not traditional IR, which answers the Numen evidence. We've adopted the position of NCR in the context of China, analyzes both domestic and internal national behavior, so it doesn't turn the case. Not a seat at the table for China threat con. It's not just Western v Chinese, but rather investigations of the particularities of why they behave that way, which only neoclassical realism explains, and they do not have the form because they do not adopt an alternative IR. Now, we are not a worse form of renewables. I'll read cards below, but the permutation is not often, it's not going for it, but the link does not turn the case. It is commitment to actual change because the plan would stop a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. There's no hegemonic climate link, or it doesn't lock it in. Our evidence is that using the stage is better than simply abandoning it because markets are liberatory. This is the Reamer evidence. The 1AC has done. The 1AC for the market's evidence is necessarily good. Reject the team. This is offense. We have not said that Palestine does not matter, but that using the state in this instance is good. This defense is answered on the case. Their only argument is that we have linked defense, etc. But that is not a reason that you should automatically downplay the risk of unification because our evidence is potential that is psychologically violent for individuals that are from Taiwan. Now, we do hold corporations accountable, which turns this argument, durable fiat, ensures that they just followed. Our evidence indicates China has an incentive to do so, and it's structurally try or die because they have no solvency arguments, and China needs to reduce air pollution. They give this thing an explanation for why they refuse it, so there's no circumvention here, but Turk's case also answered above, and durable fiat solves. Now, fossil fuels are worse. No escalation into great power war because it wouldn't be in the global south, no US-China conflict, because the plan gives us the incentive to cooperate, but renewables are sustainable because mining is a one-and-done ordeal, but even if extraction is necessary, fossil fuels are so much worse. Comparative and particular studies show that even if we increase production of renewables 12-fold, the amount of material needed is only 3%. That kills the link. More evidence. Ground 4-25. Low emission sources, smaller mining than natural gas technologies lead to less mining. The fossil fuels talk so much about mining or clean energy, we forget about readiness of our current systems. I would think about Iowa coal requires 20 times as low carbon. New tech solved. Mercury 21. There is essential components in clean energy mining. RE to make advances offer sustainable alternative. RE requires several extracting steps. College studies cover extract from waste, ultimately mitigates environmental impacts, market carbon impacts. No link. Drop. Their evidence is about economy-wide transition, but our evidence is about the US and China. Drop. Renewables inevitable, falling costs, and whether guarantee the transition. The next argument, try or die flips half. They don't have a way to solve it. Claire is a US-China war impact, which means the plan solves the all does nothing. The genocide stuff about the Uyghur genocide, they have not fractured the text. We have not found textures of policy, so the rehighlights get them nothing. But once again, the US bat is not offense. We have not redeemed them in any way. Merely stopping Taiwanese invasion is constrained China by 1%. Is it better than nothing? There's no impact to deforestation. Song Idol 18, analyze 35 years of work satellite data, construct the power loop of the forest area. It's a kind of globally out necking the extract of all land, 20% outside of tracking maturities and 40% with indirect drivers. There's no link to wood biomass. The plant doesn't cause that. Specifically, no evidence says that it's not a low carbon tech, no impact, it's just deforestation, which is done above. No link to Africa war, no drawn because of the stuff I said above. Now, the re-highlights, etc., are all answered, but Long Beach is flat out wrong about the rejection Palestine stuff. This is a reason to reject them. We have not proposed the hedge that we have not propped up UO's hedge to say that we can do something to stop Taiwan invasion, which is necessarily violent. They have flattened history, which is necessarily bad. And it does stop warming, which is not the case, and the alt does not solve the case because of its rejection.
Eight of 35.
Am I walking around or am I fall asleep?
Yeah, for me, I think it'll be bathroom break and we'll come back. So I texted Jared and Ned to get them on the panel. You should look at this. And scroll down.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be case and K. Yeah. Case then
K the case.
K also bring at the top.
Yeah.
Are we good? Okay, cool. It shows it all good, Daniel. Yeah. Okay. Actually, hold on. Okay, cool. Everybody's good. Sorry. You're going to vote for Counseling Long Beach to go to the semifinals at Harvard because they have not grappled the fact that the world that Michigan's built is one causing extinction through exploitation. You three as white people should refuse to vote affirmative for a renewable transition. For yourselves, I rely on the exploitation of Congolese women in the Congo because they're black. That's only possible because of your white futurity. Means that I'm not going to fuck if you think we're losing the tech debate because you know that the plan green transition requires leaving black folk in the dirt. It means that even if you think we're going to lose the debate on tech, you should be willing to vote negatively when they're unethical to vote after because they rely on form the dead, but also will be unethical because they dropped that to vote after solve Chinese genocide. It would just be so the U.S. could genocide them themselves, which is a piece of evidence written in the 2C, which also proves that the U.S. is also complicit, which proves our theory of power about international relations and turns the voter on them because it proves they've only sanitized the way that the U.S. can commit more genocide post-planned by themselves. Now, the neoclassical stuff is not responsive because it's specific in the our evidence is very specific in the context of China-U.S. relations and energy relation. Not vote out for or hack out for them because the cards are just better. They say strike the card, obviously not true because you're a racist and reject the team. Our argument is that when you can invest in a certain system of IR and slavery, i.e. by saying that black people should shut up about saying racial capitalism because Jim Crow was not that bad, is a reject the team and imitates a research model what I'll do later, but they say not at the seat of the table and only neoclassical solve that will be later in the link debate. Now, framework, our interpretation that negative link to research and whether it means that we get the way they get the way their epistemological representation that's offense against us and they have to defend that the one AC can actually impact, but if you win the one AC is violent, you should reject them. They have to not get fiat one. Feedback loop this out was dropped talking about cap and trade the carbon tax makes the fiat implementation a trickle clause middle that actually prevents real solution to warming vote out from presumption. During the policy debate proved their model cannot solve next about proximity to ballot. The only act of the tool value whether or not our political imagination is valuable is once again to act like obviously Justin but I know you want an alternative, but the fact is that voting for the app is not doing anything in space means that only radical proximity can solve. They drop that no ideology in one thing means that no durable fiat because people will have colonial mindsets. I'm saying inevitable reads rejects team and indict their epistemology model because it proves that that they were modeling enough for inevitably back policymakers outside of space. Now conceded no two ways, no new interests or no new interests of the voting issue for the reason I did it above. I'm going to go to the impact and link debate. They conceded both three highlights that said the U.S. and China will both shift to renewables as a result of the plan, which means that they were inherently anti-black, and said U.S.-China war over the brink, turning kids to chronic extinction. The first link I'm going to go for is the renewable wars link. The link is anti-black in Tur's case to support a green energy transition. Here is support that in common with the stuff I did above. The Wednesday's goal of being China in the energy market creates a self-fulfilling prophecy to academic speech. Active turns the case to make climate justice and resolving tension impossible. It makes solving climate and cooperation, it makes solving pollution impossible. Only serve to heighten the conflict between U.S. and China. That's 9 million each swallow. Now they do not solve the link because they dropped three highlights. That means that post-plan both countries will want to shift to renewables. It means that they concede that slavery and colonization is bad. There's a double bind. Either one they can concede no U.S.-China war. It takes out the impact to the app, improves. There's no war, improves. They link to the biomass term, which they conceded, which means they cause extinction to war. But also, secondly, conceded the widespread evidence says that in terms of the scenario, and independently calling the new target war over a fight with renewables, which causes extinction and which is bad, and obviously turns to app. Now the ballot is either a neg ballot because the argument is that either way there's no impact to the Wednesday, or they can actualize the impact themselves. That's time. But also conceded the biomass turn that causes more pollution, which causes barely grade but did not answer. I do not believe you would hack out for Michigan in the debate. I don't care if they're really good because our argument is that they've conceded way too much and you should not hack out for them. Now I will extend a few pieces of evidence that is damning for them that are not responsive to the cards they were in the 1 yard. One would be the burgers before evidence is that vague posturing of being pro-renewable leads to increased biomass of innovation, which is internal, and the biomass and the renewables highlight is an internal link to the argument. Also, they dropped that cooperation, meaning that both sides adopt the same policy, meaning that wood, bioenergy puts it past tipping points and won't be able to solve warming. Drop the Robinson 23 evidence that biomass fuels are worse than fossil fuels, meaning that they don't get any new arguments about how fossil fuels are worse because they dropped that they shift to an even worse renewable. Now, the Lyman line say that fossil fuels are worse than renewables. Obviously, drop the Robinson 23 evidence. There's no new answer because it's not about biomass fuels. They say new tech solves, obviously not true because it's not specific. And then the cars say biomass fuel, but also they drop that as words. It proves that even if they do make new tech, the new tech is bad. They say no hegemonic climate policy, obviously not true. If we do the work above, they say using a state is good, is a voting issue, stopping history. So drop the card we're in Tuesday, say that the U.S. also participates in genocide as well. The U.S. also uses Taiwan as a proxy to prove the arguments about self-fulfilling prophecy, means that upholding genocide, and by just shifting it from China and the U.S. committing it, and just shifting it to the U.S. committing it, doing it by themselves, which is violent as fuck, and proves why the U.S. democracy is unethical. And read to reject them. They say that unification is violent, obviously not true for case defense. They say durable fiat, obviously not true for working above. They say the U.S. is not bad. U.S. bad is not offense. What the fuck are you talking about right now? They commit active genocide for the Palestinians, kill people in the Congo, and prove that it's not just offense for you. They say it's better than nothing. Actually, what the fuck? It's not better than nothing because our argument is that you three as white judges should not feel comfortable saying that it's better than nothing, that black people are dying. They say plan fall, obviously not true. I'm going to clean up the framework stuff really quick. They say fairness and the ballot pick, obviously not true because our argument is that you still get fair debates under our model with the right wing research, but also the ballot pick is a reach reject team for black fungibility. They say paradox did the work above, predictably the clash is obviously better under our model because we said epistemic theory is good and the epistemic theory is good under our model. They say Taiwan prediction is not true, will be wrecked by K-Fees that K-Fees that do later say that is no prerequisite fiat. Obviously they say ours does not meet. Yes it does because they drop you still get those things. Now go to the alternative. Now the alternative refuse wager the white in order to produce radical research that exports bear debated called argument that we should not just from anything. We should endorse tactical strategies. This is a general refusal of the alternative of the affirmative proves that you should vote negative if we prove that they cause nuclear war and create some war more for the status quo violence is sufficient. If we win a case turn to the aft or a link to the aft or a link to the aft, it means that they've recreated a violent status quo that is worse and causes extinction. All the links are dropped coming out of the 1 yard and prove that they make climate worse and cause nuclear war. It means that any chance we've done that is sufficient to vote negative because a war will obviously worsen the status quo. Go to case now. I'm going to extend defense because they dropped a lot of it. One, the 2 yard just dropped. The 2 yard will be cooperation now, but you cannot vote on inherency framing issue when they drop all of our cards from the 2 instances that cap and trade fails because corporation would just circumvent and it doesn't reduce enough emissions, which is conceded. They did not say why cap and trade solve warming, so assume no solves because they're not saying internal links for how ETS solves their impact to China stuff. 1% risk of defense because they're just fear mongering or worse for status quo. But if they are winning any chance of war, you turned it because they dropped all the reasons for why it causes war or causes extinction through climate change. The acknowledged 23 evidence says that even if China, if they Taiwan, they can defend themselves. The 1 yard did not say that Taiwan couldn't would mean that there's no reason for after the status quo solved now in terms of the defense. One, couple standards. Defense, China can survive because they have defense capability that they drop. Also drop US intervention. They will protect Xing and Beijing for doing war law. Also drop Japan, Czech because they're mostly to defend Taiwan, to get outside it, and UAE and subs because India and Australia will defend them and China will risk it, which is drop warrant. There's no reason you can vote for them. A ballot for them would be absolutely insane.
234.
case and then the
We're good.
okay, just give me the links and then the framework on the case. So
Links first?
yeah, links first.
Okay.
Okay, is everyone good? Taiwan crisis guarantees extinction. China invades and the U.S. lashes out, which causes nuclear escalation, but also global authoritarianism, which has dropped external impact to invasion, causing proliferation and economic shocks. Winning a 1% risk we solve means we outweigh the K because only we have a guaranteed extinction impact. Cap and trade does solve warming. 1. Contextual evidence. They do not have evidence about China. Our 1AC evidence is explicit that a cap and trade is able to reduce emissions in China because it spurs a transition to low carbon technology and reduces emissions from coal in the manufacturing sectors. They don't have evidence about that. So even if they have generic evidence that they might not trade or auction permits, that's not sufficient to beat our specific statistical studies. 2. It's not about pollution. It's about warming broadly and emissions. Their evidence is specific to warming broadly, which is not what our internal link about. We don't not need to solve global warming. We just need to solve Chinese pollution. 3. Not explained. They read the card in the block and said one line about asserting how it was dropped in the 1A or not dropped in the 1A. We explained our internal link on the case, and a 1% risk that we solve outweighs. You need to explain the warrants for why it doesn't solve warming when we have a statistical study that says it does. Yes, invasion. None of their evidence speaks to historics, which is a dropped internal link. It was a frame made in the 2AC. Their evidence is a snapshot, not a trend, i.e. it might be unlikely that Xi invades Taiwan now, but in the long term is inevitable because of racist and colonial rhetoric. Their warrants are wrong. 1. Irrationality overdetermines it. Our internal link is about Xi lashing out because he thinks he has nothing else that overwhelms generic deterrence checks defense because it wouldn't factor into his political calculus, i.e. they have warrants about why it is unlikely he would invade because there are high costs, but costs do not matter in his political calculus if he literally thinks the only thing he can do to reclaim legitimacy is to invade the country. 2. Their evidence flows app. It says that there are a host of domestic reasons, including economic growth, that would cause him to invade. The plan solves by giving Xi something to latch onto and then claim that he's doing something, but absent the plan, he has to invade Taiwan to give any chance of reclaiming legitimacy. The 2NR did not explain any of the warrants sufficient to mean that you think there's no risk of escalation. U.S. intervention is not a warrant because our claim is that the U.S. would intervene, but that intervention causes escalation. Japan checks us wrong because he doesn't care about other actors in the region. Now, the K, go to the renewables link first. If I win that it's inevitable or that fossil fuels make it work, it's an independent reason to vote app, independent of the framework debate because we've justified our representation. No renewables link. 1, not contextual. They're just rereading blocks against apps that force an economy-wide transition without contextualizing it to the 1AC. The plan does not cause a broad shift to renewables, but rather just in the U.S. and China. This was the thesis of the 2NR link claim, i.e. that we cause a shift in the U.S. and China, but their impact evidence is about a global shift to renewables, which is not sufficient to meet their internal link burden. 2, fossil fuels are worse, which is dropped in the context of everything except biomass, so the only thing you can weigh against it is the biomass impact. This just intuitively makes sense because they made arguments about the permit crisis, which is obviously driven by fossil fuels that cause pollution, which destroys community, causes equivalent Palestinian genocide, and hurts seaborne populations, which are mostly minorities. 3, renewables inevitable, which it does apply to biomass because it is a renewable form of technology. For their arguments, the plan doesn't uniquely spur a shift because falling costs and weather make it inevitable in this status quo. That's our Seropolis evidence. If you cannot point to an answer that the 2NR or the 2AC had as to why the plan uniquely causes a shift to biomass when there are falling costs for those technologies in the status quo, then you cannot vote on the plan making the world worse. 4, app outweighs. Even if you hold us accountable for all renewables, the plan solves certain extinction, no link to biomass. The app does not say any card about biomass, which means that you cannot vote on the plan causing it worse. They drop deforestation defense, which is the only terminal impact they have to biomass, so the app definitely outweighs. Now go to the framework debate. Weigh the plan's consequences against a competitive alternative with unique links. Framing issue. Our interp solves. Remember, it's additive, not exclusive, so there's no reason they couldn't read their K under our model of debate. Saying we should weigh the plan doesn't sideline epistemology. Never have said we have links to scholarship. Shouldn't be in debate, just that it shouldn't be used as reasons for why the plan's implementation is not bad. It's a middle ground that preserves a role for critical argumentation while maximizing the benefits of fairness. While we just free to read every card in the 1NC, introduce nuanced critiques of fiat, our epistemology of markets, as long as the app's consequences are also considered. The impact is fairness. It's an axiomatic feature of the game that benefits everyone, not just us. Their interpretation incentivizes mooting the case after finding a slight epistemological qualm with the 1NC. That means any slight from any side of the library is enough of a reason to disregard 9 minutes of 1NC offense. That outweighs. It's intrinsically beneficial. Competition incentivizes research, improvement, and refinement. It's tautological to make fairness secondary. Even that consideration requires fair evaluation, which is dropped in the 2NR. Unlike everything the 2NR asserted, the 1AR dropped. Long Beach is equally invested, proven by their appeals to dropped arguments, and then asking for the ballot. If you don't think it's an impact, vote AF on perm to the all. Drop. No feedback loop TA. Remember, this argument was that we create a feedback loop of carbon pricing debates, but never have they said that those debates are bad. And if they are only debates on both sides cause us to change our minds. Yes, fiat, we agree it's illusory, but it's a necessary heuristic for cost-benefit analysis impacted out above. Insofar as they think we should talk about the consequences of whether or not the plan causes renewable extraction is the reason why fiat is necessary. Ballot proximity is AF because only it solves fairness. The 200 did not deny that basic premise and agreed that they rely prevent fairness too, so it must forefront your decision. No, to embrace is not a voting issue. They never explained it in the 2NR. They never explained that argument in the 2NR. It was a blip in the 2NC, and they never explained why it's a voting issue. They did not introduce a framework argument in the 1NC, so we get to do it in the 2AC. Now, Long Beach should lose this weight for victim blaming us when we discuss Taiwan. This is exactly what Lorenzo is criticizing, because every time individuals speak out against China in favor of the U.S. stopping a Taiwan invasion, they're told that's not relevant because the U.S. is too fucked up. This is exactly the logic they've taken in this debate. Saying Palestine outweighs is asinine because never have we denied what's happening in Gaza or justified the U.S. sending weapons, but rather we've identified one scenario where U.S. action would be good in the context of preventing a Taiwanese invasion. Downplaying reunification risk has been a voting issue since the 1AC, and the neg is far behind. If you don't want to vote on this, it proves that their framework arguments about epistemology and discourse are secondary to fairness, and why evaluation of consequences is a net better frame for evaluating this debate. But you should hold them accountable in this instance. The 1AC Bradley evidence also indicates that their presumption of Sun universal theory as a dictating Chinese behavior flattens history into a single event in Asia, denying the particularities within East Asian states that's equally as homogenizing and links back to their critique. The only thing they could get out of here is that the voter on the racial capitalism card somehow outweighs, but they dropped the no link argument in the 1AR that we never told them to shut up. We never denied that their claims about racial capitalism being a totalizing fear. We just disproved the theory. If you think that they're right, then you should just strike the card. They dropped it. That's a necessary correct. That's a sufficient corrective measure, and you should not vote against us on a blippy argument in the 2NC and the 2NR. It proves their impact is inevitable. The Taiwan stuff proves that their impact of rhetoric is inevitable. So it's try to prevent fairness and solve a Taiwanese invasion.